quick update for the weather and let you know what you can kind of expect over the next couple of days. We've been in this kind of soggy, cool, wet pattern with a trough of low pressure overhead since about Sunday afternoon. We are slowly starting to break out of that. So, like I said, just want to go and do a little bit more of a deep dive into this. In the meantime, give me about 20 seconds, maybe a minute, and I'll get everything here ready behind the scenes. In the meantime, I will show you these live looks across the region. For the most part, it is all quiet for western Montana right now. Got that working here. All right, everything does seem to be working here behind the scenes. Yep, we are in good shape. So thank you again for tuning in this evening. As you're tuning in, let us know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions or comments as we go throughout this, feel free to let me know in the chat section. I'll try and keep an eye on those as we go throughout this update. So again, we've been in this little bit of a short-term soggy period with scattered showers, a few thunderstorms, low pressure system that's helped keep us a little bit on the cooler side thanks to the moisture in the air and the cloud cover that we've seen. But if you were west of the Divide today, places like Missoula, Kalispell, Polson, Hamilton, we saw lots of sunshine this afternoon. That low pressure system is starting to pull off to the east, and as I show you our satellite loop, we can see that spin in the atmosphere. It's this area of low pressure right here, slowly working its way off to the east, right now centered down into parts of Wyoming. It's really south of the Billings area, but you can see what's starting to build back off to the west. And let's see if I can zoom this out just a little bit so you can kind of get a better idea of what's happening. We have this large trough of low pressure off the Pacific coast, but ahead of that, we can see the motion going up into Canada. That is a ridge of high pressure that's going to move over the area for at least the middle parts of this week, if not into the latter parts of this week as well, as it somewhat gets cut off. It's not a complete cutoff, but in general, we're going to be looking at warmer, drier conditions as we get into the middle and latter parts of this week. So what I want to do real quick is just show you the looping radar, give you the sense that that low pressure system down here south of Billings is still pinwheeling moisture back across its northwestern side. So we are still dealing with a few very spotty showers for places like Bozeman, Livingston, Gardner, but most of that moisture is now pushing off further east than that, over towards Billings, areas north of there. And elsewhere, we are all dry at this hour, and likely will be staying that way. If we are going to see a few showers, really I'd say Highway 287 and east from there will be the focus of those showers. You're starting to see a little bit of the moisture. It's this ground clutter on radar, but that gives you a sense that there is moisture still in the atmosphere, and that could lead to some patchy fog overnight as we see those lows dropping down into the 40s for most locations. One other note that we do still have, we are on the backside of this, but we did have the first winter weather advisories of the season down here into the Beartooth and Absaroka Mountains. Those expire here in just over 2.5 hours, so at midnight tonight. But there was the potential for snowfall over Beartooth Pass, the Beartooth Highway, of about 1 to 3 inches of accumulation. So the potential for some travel impacts up over the high part of the highway itself were possible. So it kind of gives you a sense that, yes, we are starting to get into that transition period of the season. Yes, it is the last full week of summer that we are in, but it's Montana. This isn't really a huge surprise when you start getting some of that snow in those higher elevations right as you get into the end of summer, but especially as we start entering fall. So really just an indicator that the seasons are beginning to change. We are starting to see some more fall-like weather, even though with temperatures it may not feel completely fall-like as we get into the latter parts of this week. But just a little bit of fun, a fun thing there. There has been some light dusting of snow, light accumulation up into Big Sky, so up on Lone Peak. We got some pictures from the lift up there and some of the snow up in those highest elevations of Big Sky. Now, really what we're tracking for the next couple of days, Wednesday through Friday, it's that ridge of high pressure I was just talking about. Drier, warmer conditions are expected, and this may even linger into Saturday. There's still some question marks about how long that sticks around, if it starts to flatten out, but in general, the next 3 to 4 days, we're going to be looking at warmer, drier temperatures. And this is not doing exactly what I want it to do, so give me just a second. I got to adjust this graphic briefly, but it'll at least get the sense of what I'm looking to do with this. So let me move that forward, spin this back around, and now we're in good shape. Now this should be working the way I want it to. So for tomorrow, we're talking temperatures in the 70s and the low 80s area-wide. As I move this forward, you see those temperatures gradually starting to warm up. Missoula Thursday, we're talking 84. Bozeman, 77. By the time we get into Friday, most of southwest Montana is approaching the 80-degree mark. It wouldn't surprise me if we stay in the 70s. West Yellowstone staying in the 60s, but upper 70s, low 80s for most of the region. That does certainly look to be the case, and that'll likely be similar to what we see on Saturday, though temperatures will start to fall Saturday and especially into Sunday, and the reason for that is the likely breaking down of that ridge of high pressure. Now, in comparison to what that means to average, looking at Missoula, who's going to be one of our warmer locations in our region, those temperatures of 83 and 84 Thursday and Friday, anywhere from about 10 to 15 degrees above average. I think in general across the entirety of western Montana, we're going to be looking temperatures anywhere from 5 to 15 degrees above average. So again, this is going to be a little bit more like typical summertime heat, but again, we are into that last week of summer. So not extremely hot by any means, but for this time of the year, a fair bit above average. We'll get back to more seasonable temperatures as we get into Sunday and especially early next week. As we can see here with Sunday, 71 in Missoula, that temperature just 1 degree above average, and I think that's going to be the case for most of the region for Sunday and Monday. Now, as for those rain chances, those are going to be staying very low for the next 5 days. There is the chance for an isolated shower or two, especially up into northwest Montana, places like Libby, Eureka, Kalispell, Glacier National Park. Late Friday into Saturday, there's going to be one little quick weak disturbance that moves into that area of the U.S.-Canada border. Not expecting too much in the way of impact from those outside of a few showers, maybe a weak thunderstorm or two. It's as we get into Sunday and Monday, we get a little bit more lift, a little bit more moisture that moves in, and that may bring us at least a slightly higher chance of some showers and storms. Right now, only going at around, say, 10 to 30%. So it's not a very high likelihood at this time that we see some of those showers and storms, and I'll show you a little bit more about our regional future tracker, which kind of gives you the sense of what we could be seeing. So starting off, here's that little clipping system for Friday. Not a whole lot going on. Most of the activity stays up here into British Columbia and into Alberta, but a few showers into, again, Libby, Troy, Eureka, Kalispell, Whitefish. Can't rule those out, and those will continue to work their way off to the east. Maybe a little bit better chance as we get to areas along the divide, those higher elevations. This is looking into Friday afternoon. So a few thunderstorms maybe for Friday afternoon, and that may linger into Saturday morning. That's a little bit faster on that motion as compared to earlier, so maybe, we may have to deal with that all day on Friday. Something we'll keep a close eye on, but really, I think US 2 and north will be the focus of those showers and storms for Friday. Elsewhere, we should stay primarily dry. Saturday will be in between little systems, but then we get into Sunday, you can see more of that moisture back off to the west into Washington and British Columbia itself. Then we get a little bit more of that southwesterly flow for Sunday. The ridge has broken down a fair bit. Isolated showers, really area-wide, but it does seem like the focus is going to be down into areas along and south of Interstate 90. That's Sunday and then into Monday, and we're quieting down once again with likely another quiet period of weather. Temperatures just gradually warming into Monday, but especially into Tuesday. So temperatures right around average, as it looks like right now, Sunday into Monday, with a little bit of a warm-up into the middle parts of next week. So really key takeaways, and this was sort of the wrap up. If you have any questions or comments sort of last second, feel free to ask those. For tonight, spotty showers continuing down towards places like Bozeman, Big Sky, Livingston. Better chances of rain further east as you go down I-90 back over towards places like Columbus, Billings, even further than that towards Sheridan, Wyoming, Miles City, where we could see that system that's pushing off to the east bring a few showers out there. We do still have the winter weather advisory for the Beartooth Highway until midnight tonight. Most of that active weather is pretty much cleared that area, but a few light snowflakes up over 10,000 feet can't be ruled out. Outside of that, we're going to be looking at much drier conditions for the remainder of the work week. Temperatures warming anywhere from 5 to 15 degrees above average. Upper 70s, low 80s are going to be common, though. Up into far northwestern Montana, places like Libby and Troy, I've talked about you a little bit more in this. We might try and approach 90 degrees. That'll likely be where we see the hottest temperatures of the next few days. But in general, 5 to 15 degrees above average. We could see an isolated shower or thunderstorm as we get into Friday, that little clipper system moving right along the Montana-Canada border up into northwest Montana. Next best chance of rain for the entirety of the area likely arrives Sunday into Monday, and right now those chances of precipitation are still pretty low, less than 30% for most areas. So those could go up as we get more model information in. We do a little bit more getting closer to that event. Right now it does look like, again, pretty spotty in nature. Could see an isolated thunderstorm or two with that. And always this time of the year, it is still pretty dry, so gusty winds may be a bit of a concern with that. But for the most part, it doesn't look like we have any major systems that are on the way over the next at least 5 to 7 days. There are some indications as we get to, say, days 8 through 14, getting into the next, beyond this week, but into next week, that we see maybe a stronger system move in and some more fall-like conditions start to roll in as well. But that's something we'll be keeping a close eye on, something that could certainly change. And speaking of looking forward, I do have one last thing, and this is something I put together today. If you're on the NBC Montana Facebook page, you may have seen this, but some of our important dates and holidays are getting closer than you might think. So let me go to the other screen over here and show you what I put together. But this is just a little 4-box timeline of some important dates that are coming up. We are now within 100 days of Christmas. So the holidays are coming up sooner than we might think. Fall begins here in 6 days, so next Monday, the official beginning of fall is here. That's September 22nd. Of course, we've got Halloween on the 31st of October. That's 45 days away. November 27th brings us Thanksgiving, and that's 72 days away. So if you have plans coming up for those, you don't have those on your calendar quite yet. I mean, on most calendars, they're already built in, but still, just keep those in mind. Those dates are coming up a little quicker than you might think. So I know for me, there's a few things I need to get prepared for, especially for my favorite holiday being Halloween. I got to get a couple of things ready and prepared for that. So I guess that's kind of a last second question. What's your favorite of the holidays coming up? Feel free to answer that in the chat section real quick. But even if you don't, again, they're coming up quick. But overall, we're looking pretty nice after we get past these showers tonight. So I hope you have a great rest of the week. I'll likely pop in for another one of these on Thursday evening. I will be at least as everything goes right now, I'll be debuting a new 3D weather at the end of this week. Should be pretty cool. So certainly tune into that. I don't know if it'll be a 5 or 6 o'clock airing on Friday, but it will be there, and barring anything crazy. So thank you again for tuning in, spending a little bit of time with me this evening as I ramble on about the weather and things going on across the area. As for the rest of the night, certainly tune into our live broadcast coming up here in just over half an hour. And tune into our live broadcasts tomorrow morning, NBC Montana Today from 5 to 7 a.m. with Jason Hurst and Chief Meteorologist Brooke Foster. And as always, if you see something cool, take a photo or video. It could be weather, it could be animals in your area. Feel free to share those with us at NBCMontana.com/chime-in. So have a great evening, have a safe next couple of days, and I'll see you all in the next one. NBC Montana, I'm meteorologist Mitchell Coombs.